Okay, folks, we're about to get started. Is I started? Is that the...
Yeah, let's do it.
That's how we're doing this?
Yeah, what are we going to talk about today?
I don't know.
All right, we'll figure it out.
Hey, everyone, I'm Alan Furstenberg.
And I'm Mark Tucker. Welcome to Two Voice Devs.
Two Voice Devs, live and in person here at VOICE22.
So, Alan, what podcast does this make?
This will be, I believe this will probably be around episode 117 or 118.
All right.
Of our Two Voice Devs podcast. It is great to see everybody out there.
Definitely.
So
it's good to be back at a conference.
It's good to be back at a conference, definitely. It's good to actually see people. So we are going to be taking your questions for us. Whole thing will last about half an hour, maybe a little bit more. And this will be a future podcast. So expect in a couple of weeks, once we get the video and audio all set up and I do some editing, oh boy, we will have it. So if you have questions for us, we've got a microphone set up over here on the side. Please use the microphone to make sure we get nice and good recordings of everything.
So if you have a question, come stand up at the microphone. Otherwise, we're just going to keep talking like we normally do about whatever
we normally talk about.
What we did this last week, what technology we're finding interesting. But as soon as you're standing up in the mic, we'll kind of wind into a question and we'll keep going. But so what have you done this last week or two?
I don't know. There was this conference I went to. How about you?
A conference, yes. I got to go to New York and tour some around DC, so kind of mix a little work and pleasure.
Excellent,
yeah.
Excellent. So, we're recording this on the middle day of VOICE22. We had the keynote session a couple of hours ago this morning.
Yep.
What are the kinds of things you've seen so far that have been really exciting for you?
Oh, well, besides the keynote part, just being at a conference, seeing friends that I haven't seen yet, people that I have only met online. It's been a couple of years since we talked, but yeah. we started the podcast after we met the last time during the pandemic, and as part of Voice Lunch, we kind of met. So that's kind of how this podcast started off, and so it's just really exciting, that part. So just the conference itself and seeing people is... No,
I agree. The conference
awesome.
Has been really, really amazing. I think one of the things that's excited me the most has been, on one hand, and in this audience, there are a lot of faces that I recognize, that I know, that we've been talking to over the past bunch of years. There are also a lot of new faces at the conference itself. So it's really good to see that the voice industry really is growing.
Yeah.
We've got people who are involved and engaging and doing stuff that we hadn't seen before. So it's wonderful to make new connections, to maintain our old connections.
Yeah. So one of the things that the end of the keynote was a software called a Bridge, which you can take into the doctor's office, and it records a transcription of your doctor's visit, and then it highlights different words, whether it be medication or medical terms that you can use. And I just really thought that was a great use of this voice technology because doctor's visits are stressful as it is, and then you're trying to remember your questions during the visit, and then afterwards people are like, what do they say? You're like, well, I think they said this, and it's just great, a great use of voice technology.
No, I agree. In fact, one of the things about the Abridged presentation that I really enjoyed, aside from it was cool, it was great technology, it was really cool to see, was also that it really kind of started driving home we're doing this for a reason.
Yeah.
We're not doing it just because it's cool technology. We're not doing it just because, hey, it'll be fun to talk to games. We're doing it because we identified a problem, and voice was an amazing way to address that problem.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It solves a problem both on the patient side as well as the doctor side.
Right. Yeah. No, it's really a win for everybody involved. So that was really exciting to see, and that just that someone again goes back to identify that problem, solve that problem, and voice was the key element in solving that problem.
Yeah,
I think those are the sorts of things that, as an industry, as developers, we need to be looking more for
those cases.
Those cases.
So there's a lot of fun things you can do with voice, but you need to find a way to either make it make sense monetarily or have some financial or some significant value. It could be ease of use for your customers. It could be, in this case, solving a problem for both patients and doctors. So there's lots of different things. We just need to find out, like, what is the root case that's going to solve? What real problem are we going to solve?
Right. And, I think as we start addressing real problems, I think people will start to see more and more how voice isn't just, it's just a keyboard. It's just, another input device, that it's really another way to address problems and to solve problems.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be important. So again, folks, you can stand up and ask questions and we will try to answer. Good. We see people lining up now. Fantastic.
Greetings from ET. I was pleasantly pleased to hear that they're doing a national landing, a tech hub here in this area. I'm from Silicon Valley, so we kind of are very jaded and do a thing. Can you share with your listeners about national landing and how you perceive and how you could work with them?
That's going to be interesting. One of the things we saw at the keynote this morning was a presentation by the redevelopment group for this area. And for those of you that don't know where we are right now, we're kind of located across the road from National Airport, or Reagan National Airport in Alexandria, Virginia, just outside DC. And this area is going to be where Amazon is building one of their new headquarters.
Right.
So that was kind of interesting to see, not just that they are saying, Amazon's here, problem solved. They're kind of using Amazon as an anchor for a lot of other technology.
Right.
And, for people that don't know the DC area very well, there is a lot of technology that's going on around here. So it's exciting to see that they're kind of trying to create that anchor.
Yeah, and I think being located so close to different government organizations, there's lots of opportunities for voice to bring voice into different things that they're doing.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good choice for a location.
I agree. Yes.
Hi, this is Olga. So my question is about the current state of the voice industry. I look at it from the perspective of the fact that in the beginning, when you first create a product, it has to be fully integrated. So if you change one thing, you have to change a bunch of other things. But now what I see is the disintegration, the modularization of the voice industry, where now all the parts can be created by different companies and they fit together well. Can you talk a little bit about that and maybe what you've heard from your experience?
You want to start?
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of different parts that you can put together to form a solution, and there's still some glue that you have to do to make that work together. And I see that becoming easier over time, but it is exciting to see that there's lots of different choices out there. So I need to solve the problem of ASR. Am I going to solve automatic speech recognition on the client with something that's coming out of the Chrome browser? Or am I going to pass that through some processing through some other provider that's doing the ASR? I need to change that audio into text, but now I need to give meaning to that text and run that through some sort of natural language understanding processing. So you've got some different providers that can do that. So it's interesting. And then on the back end side, you've got the text to speech. And so, in the keynote, I was talking about having real life celebrity voices. I still think that's something that's coming and I guess needs to evolve a little bit more before that's even more prevalent. But I think it's just really exciting that you have options. You can go to the exhibit hall and see lots of different vendors talking about what problems in that whole conversation flow that they solve. So I think it's just going to keep getting better, and we'll see more integration and more ability to plug things in.
I think one of the great things about modularity is that it also, I won't say solves the problem, but makes it easier to create one thing and have it work on multiple platforms. It's not going to be write once, run everywhere, but it does at least say that, okay, I can take this component, which I know will run pretty well everywhere, and this component, which will run pretty well everywhere, and create the glue, and maybe create a couple of pieces that need to be tailored for each platform. And those platforms, one of the big buzzwords we're seeing a lot more of is omni-channel. So, how do I take input from a voice assistant and deliver results via email, via text, via other channels? And we're starting to see those products coming online. And I think that's kind of one of the things I'm really looking forward to seeing more from this conference and seeing how that evolves over the next few years. So we're not locked into a single vendor. I'm writing for Google. I'm writing for Amazon.
Yeah.
And if I want to write for both, I now need to convert it from one to the next. So I'm really excited to see where that stage of it goes.
Well, and I started this whole thing back in 2017 by starting to write Alexa skills. And so I came in kind of through one channel, but I soon found out that you could do similar things on Google, and you could do some similar things with chatbots. You could do, there's lots of different things you can do. And a lot of things that we're doing at the company I work for, Rain, is with custom assistants. Now I want to be able to have my existing mobile app or existing website, and I want to add voice input to that. That could be a tap to talk button. It could be with a wake word. And so all of those things are very similar. And so you don't necessarily want to write the whole solution front to back for each of those different platforms. So finding ways to be able to write that once and then share 70, 80, 90% of the code, and then make specific customizations per platform so that if you've got a screen, then you can do the multimodal side of things. If you have just a speaker, you can handle the voice side. So I think there's just a lot more that we're going to see with custom assistants and being able to solve the problem across multiple platforms.
Yeah, I agree. Next question. We see I have a line here. This is amazing. This is great. Thank you.
Hi, thanks. Alan, I understand that there are changes coming to Voice Lunch. Would you speak a little bit about that?
Sure. So for those of you that don't know me, one of the things that I've helped organize with Mike Novak, who seems to have not shown up in this room, and I'll ding him on that later. He's stuck in lunch. Yeah. I've helped organize a community effort called Voice Lunch North America, which was an outgrowth of the Voice Lunch Foundation or Voice Lunch Global. The two creators of Voice Lunch Global are kind of stepping back a little bit, and Mike and I have kind of stepped forward. So I guess to speak a little bit about what Voice Lunch Global has been was during the pandemic, Michal and Carol brought together a bunch of people on Zoom once or twice a week just to start talking about voice. And it was seen at the time as, although it was called Voice Lunch, it was kind of joked as the cocktail hour of the voice industry, where people from pretty much across the world were able to gather and talk about what we were doing and what we were learning and what our companies were doing and so forth. In the 2 or so years since then, they grew to a number of chapters around the world, and then kind of consolidated a bit as people were no longer really as interested in it. Voice Lunch North America was one of the bigger ones that kept going. And as Carol and Michal stepped back a little, Mike and I stepped up and said, we're willing to take the format that we used for Voice Lunch North America and continue it for everyone, and then kind of take over the global slot and continue it as a global slot on a once-a-month basis. So probably what we're looking forward to going forward, and we encourage feedback from the community because it's very much a community effort. What do you want to see? So we want to be able to take the community once a month or so, have the community get together for major presentations, and every week on Fridays kind of kick back a little, relax, and have a more personal conversation amongst ourselves. So that's kind of where we want to be going with it. And I mean, you've been an active member of Voice Lunch since the beginning again.
Yeah, not quite the very beginning, but when I found it, it was sure a lifesaver. And a lot of friends that I have here now that I've met for the first time are international folks, and so it's been great. So looking forward to what's happening next with Voice Lunch.
And we're very much looking forward to working with the community and figuring that out as well.
Right.
Thank you.
You both you're among the wise people of voice, the two of you. and having been in this industry since its very beginnings, what would be the three things that will propel voice, broadly defined, into, say, the exponential growth that many people have dreamt of, as opposed to perhaps the stage-by-stage incremental growth? What are the three things that we as the industry could and should do to really push this thing into a rocket ride?
Wow, that's a
So
that's
wait,
a
I don't think-
challenge.
we're normally a half-hour podcast, John. So we may have to take up that answer on future episodes. But I think in short, I don't know, you want to?
Yeah, and it's really hard because as a developer, I get into the weeds a lot. Hands-on code. So sometimes it's hard for me to take a step back and say, well, what should this be, or what could this be in the future? But one of the things that I've noticed is that voice technology still is not easy to use as far as a voice input for everybody. It can be intimidating for people of different ages. It doesn't necessarily recognize accents in certain cases. If you've got somebody with autism or Down syndrome, then that is difficult for voice input. So I think as improvements are made there, then it's going to open up more and more. So I think that's one thing that's really needed to propel is just keep making it better and easier to improve on speech side of things. I think another thing would be just practicality. As it evolves, it's going to be in more places. It's going to be you're not going to have to get a device and put it in every room. It's going to be already built into your car. It's going to be different places. So I think just increasing the ubiquity of it is going to make it easier. And part of it is just going to take time for the younger generation who is really starting off with voice first. They're just going to expect it. And I think, just in like this could be 10 years, 15 years in the future, it's just going to be bigger because people have grown up with it and they're just expecting it, and it's going to be easier to put in lots of different places.
I think from a developer perspective, some of the biggest things that I think we really need are the equivalent of widgets. If you pick up a windowed operating system, if you go on the web anywhere, you know what a button looks like. You know what you expect it to do. When it doesn't do that, things are broken. You know what links are. You know what drop-down menus are. You know what a shopping cart is if you're in a shopping system. You know what an accordion library, you have all of these patterns that we are used to on the web and on mobile devices. We don't have that paradigm yet for voice. We don't have a standard way that I can say something and hear it on Alexa and hear it on a custom assistant and hear it on Siri and hear it on Google. We don't have a way to do that right now. And maybe it's too early for us to have a way to do that right now. Maybe we don't have that audio, maybe we don't understand the audio language that we need to even begin to take an attempt, but I think we need to begin to take that attempt. Because if we don't, and fortunately there are people that are out there that are asking, well, how do we make that? How do we do that? And what is it going to look like and sound like? And more importantly, and sound like.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably one of the biggest things that we need. And then start turning those into standard components so that I don't have to think about, well, okay, what do I need to do to make a shopping cart on Alexa? It literally just becomes, I click the button for shopping carts and fill in 20 fields. And now I have a shopping cart. That's the level we need to get to. It's the level where we're sort of at in mobile. It's the level where we're sort of at on the web. That's really what we need to get to is get the standard, basic, low-hanging fruit out of the way so that we can get to really innovate with everything else.
Well, and then I think adding on to that, now that you've got components that you can build a solution, how do you put different solutions together so that you can build a bigger voice experience? So like if I want to, we're still talking about it, and there are some solutions out there that are kind of addressing this, but it still needs to be a lot more. If I want to reserve a table and then take an Uber to get to the restaurant, those are two different providers, but you could start thinking about streaming 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 together in a way that doesn't seem disjoint because you've got different voices that are happening at different points.
Right,
And-
it's that interoperability
Yeah.
between different apps and
Exactly.
how they work together. And this is where John obviously gave us a leading question so that we could answer it by saying, this is one of the things that organizations like the Open Voice Network are doing
Yeah.
to help set those standards and figure out the ways that they can communicate in each other and start pushing us forward in a standard way.
Yep.
So Open Voice Network, we always try to give a shout out to them when we can.
Yeah.
Hello. All right.
Hey there.
So you spoke a little earlier about a tool that you were excited about that I think was to train natural language understanding. So my question is, and I'm curious about, what are some tools that you've seen in the industry that support designers and developers to collaborate and maybe co-build conversational flow and logic? I'm curious to see if you have any suggestions. More like, A, are there tools out there? B, should they exist? And C, what are your thoughts on it?
So I think we should talk about content management systems for voice.
I think that's a fantastic, and the reason we're kind of laughing about that is that's been one of the topics that on the podcast, we have 7 or so episodes now
Yeah,
that we
something like
dedicated to, on the broad subject of content management and voice and how it's different and why it's important and kind of the tools that we've made and are working on to answer it. I should, however, start by prefacing at least my perspective on that is we're both developers. So we come at it from a very developer-centric point of view with the deep understanding of how important designers are.
Yes, big appreciation for designers out there. At Rain, we have a lot of proprietary tools that we use that we, how voice designers design the conversation flow and kind of the tools that we use to share and work back and forth. There is a need for a product out there that is a content management system that you can put not just the like the text-to-speech responses, but whatever the subject is. If you're a good voice experience has content that's updated on a regular basis. That's why something like Question of the Day was very well received because every day there was a new question, new content coming. It was fresh. It was always up to date, as opposed to you build something and it's got a list of doctors and it's been 3 years since the experience has been updated and who knows if the doctors have changed. So it needs to be something that's updated on a regular basis. So there are some tools that are trying to fill that, like Voice Flow is a good tool where designers can develop a flow, and they're even working to the point where they're hoping you can take that exact design and then turn that into a working solution, kind of fill that developer and then developer designer working together and then developer deploy scenario. That's really the big one that I can see. There are other tools that are out there that are trying to solve that same problem, but it could be a challenge, and you really need somebody that focuses on what are the things that designers need and give them what they need, and what are the tools that developers need, and what are the interaction points. And so I think there's big room for improvement there.
I think one of the things that I know I've seen, and one of the things that I think has been great about the conference so far is I'm seeing more and more people focusing on that kind of question, is saying, how do we head for a no-code future? And as a developer, I don't like no-code futures, to be honest. But I kind of understand it in the same way of, is WordPress a no-code solution to building a website? Sort of, yeah. And I can tell you as a consultant, I do a lot of WordPress business because there's still a lot of code behind the scenes that needs to be made. So how do we get to that point in voice where I can say, off the shelf, I'm going to pull this voice experience for you, and then you can tailor it somewhat, and I, as your developer, will tailor it somewhat, and you can keep updating the content in it. That's where we need to get to.
Right.
We're not there yet. But I'm encouraged by the number of people who I've met here who are saying that's the sort of thing they're working on. So that's been really encouraging to me.
Yeah.
And, maybe by next year you can ask us the same question and we can give you a longer list. Or, in between now and then we'll have, some of them on the show as guests to talk about what they're doing. Because I think it's important that we say we want a lot of good voice experiences. We want them to feel familiar to people, whether they're moving from one to, if you're booking at restaurant A or restaurant B, we want that to feel more or less the same, but with your own style to it. And then have developers who are out there working on, okay, what's the next big thing? What is the equivalent of Uber for voice? Not what's ride sharing for voice, but what's the big idea that has never been able to be done before, but that we can do with voice? And we need to get past the easy stuff before we tackle those difficult questions. And I like to think I know what some of the difficult questions are, but I don't know what all of them are. So we don't have any other questions. At least nobody else is standing up at the microphone.
So you have another talk at the conference tomorrow.
I do. Tomorrow I'm going to be speaking on, I think the way I phrase it is designing for the omni-channel. Focus on out-tense, not intense.
All right.
So it's using my made-up buzzword in out-tent. And that'll be tomorrow. What's yours? So
tomorrow at 3, I'm doing a session on voice first prescription management. It's a project that I've been doing through RAIN. Can't tell you quite yet who it's for, but it's pretty significant. It's prescription refills and by voice. And I can talk about the 8 different things that you'll need to know as you're going through that project. It's how to make an Alexa healthcare skill in their HIPAA environment, but there'll be stuff that's technical in it, but it's also will be for designers and business stakeholders to understand just kind of what all happens in that special area of healthcare and voice.
That sounds exciting. I'm looking forward to that because I know this is a project you've been working on for a while now.
Yeah, it's many months.
So I want to thank everybody who was able to make it out here today. Thank the audience for tuning in, as you always have done. I think, and thank you, Mark, because this has been an experience doing this with you for the past 2 years now.
Thanks for putting up with me for 2 years.
But I think it's been fun. I think every week I'm learning something new, and I hope other people are learning stuff new as well.
Yeah, and you think we've got like this big plan. We just get together and we're like, okay, it's Thursday. What are we going to talk about today? We're like, we can talk about A, B, or C. Well, let's talk about this. And,
whatever.
And we just get together and we just talk. And it turns out, even if it's been a rough week, because sometimes developers have rough weeks, it's just always good to talk. I've got a friend that I can talk to about things, and we start talking, and our day goes better, and it's just a nice thing to look forward to. So it's been a fun experience, and we'll just keep going and
keep going. Looking forward to it. So thank you again, everyone. I hope you all have a great conference and a great week. Have a great week, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, you too. And stay tuned, and you'll catch us on another episode of Two Voice Devs.
Two Voice Devs.